The Pittsburgh Steelers have just hired a new head coach. It is being reported that they are hiring Mike McCarthy as their new head coach in Pittsburgh. Let's talk about it here on No But What's up, everyone? My name is Josh Butts here with No Buts About It. And today we are going to be talking about the Steelers hiring former Cowboys and Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. Um, we knew that he was an option. We knew that he was a name to look out for in Pittsburgh. It had been talked about for a while that he could be the next guy, the next person. But I was honestly scared as a Bengals fan. I was scared they were going to get either Brian Flores or they were going to get Chris Shula. Those were the two coaches I was really worried about personally. In as you know, okay, so King Trent, I am a Bengals fan, and I think you guys, the Ravens, did a great job with your hire. Jesse Minter worries me way more as the head coach of the Ravens than Mike McCarthy does as the head coach of the Steelers. And so I think we're all on the same page here. I When I heard the news, like I said, I really thought Brian Flores was going to be the guy. I thought he was the name. He matched the culture well. I also thought they may go after Chris Shula. Two great names. I started laughing. And I don't want to do it on cam here because I don't think it'll happen, but I don't want to be that guy who, if they win a Super Bowl, there's like a highlight reel of me laughing or something and I'm a part of that. I don't want to be embarrassed like that, but it ain't gonna happen. They ain't gonna win a Super Bowl. Steelers fans here are very happy. Not everyone is happy, but I'm with it. So you're happy. Paranormal in the Funhouse. It's you. Can you tell me what you like about Mike McCarthy over, say, Brian Flores or Chris Shula? Because that is interesting. Now, Mike McCarthy, back in the day, he was a great coach. Uh, Very good coach. He's won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, Packers in 2011, they won the Super Bowl that 2010 season. Um, he's been a coach recently with the Cowboys, but to me, the issue with Mike Tomlin was you guys weren't able to get over that hump, weren't over to get over that playoff. He was never able to really do that with the Cowboys either. So is Mike McCarthy an upgrade over Mike Tomlin, or are we just looking at a fresh face? Thank you, Paranormal in the Funhouse, for the new sub. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, those in the chat. And as always, make sure you let us know what you're thinking. But I appreciate that, Paranormal. What is the win over having Mike McCarthy over Mike Tomlin? Let's see. Yeah, worst case scenario, if we lose, I didn't think Chris was going to want to come, to be honest. Also, I want Rodgers one more year till the draft next season. I think it helps the offense. I just didn't think Shula was coming. I broke it first. I broke the news first. Man, okay. I did not realize that. Cool. That's like the second thing I think I've broken first on YouTube. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers is a big part of this, obviously, this conversation. He was with Mike McCarthy. I'm gonna mess up Tomlin and McCarthy at some point here. With Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, Mike McCarthy win a Super Bowl together. Rodgers had previously said this was his last season. He was going to retire. Then, you have Steelers really want him to come back. He's kind of said he's not coming back. Is this just a chess piece move to maybe get Aaron Rodgers back for one more season? Um, so yeah, so I assume you're another Steelers fan. Art Rooney is single-handedly ruining this organization. I got Jets fans me feeling bad for me about that. That's not. I don't understand. And those of you who are new here, you probably haven't heard this from me before, but my argument, and I'm not saying Zach Taylor is a fantastic quarterback. You'll hear me rant about Zach Taylor multiple times. But I think when you look at head coaches, and I said this about Sean McDermott and the Bills, if you're going to, you know, have the moment where you fire your head coach, I think you also have to say, "Okay, we think we can replace him with this guy who we think is exponentially better. We think bringing him in is going to improve the a lot." And I don't I don't see as an outsider looking in, and I know he's a Pittsburgh native, and that's all exciting, and that's all great. I don't see how bringing in Mike McCarthy improves the Pittsburgh Steelers. As a fan of a rival divisional team, I just don't see the threat as much. Like, I don't feel more threatened by the Steelers than what I did before Mike McCarthy was hired. If they had brought in Shula or they brought in Brian Flores, I'd be like, "Ah, those are 2 great defensive coaches." And yeah, maybe you're right, Paranormal. Maybe they didn't wanna come in, uh, but I just don't understand what I don't first of all, the Steelers are big on having longevity in their team. You're not gonna have that with Mike McCarthy. He's already, what, 64 years old? So he's 62, 63, still, he's in his 60s, so he's not gonna have that longevity. Um, yeah, Paranormal, we do cover all NFL news. I see your comment now. But I just don't think I see this team as a threat anymore in the AFC North. I see the Ravens as a threat because of their head coaching hire. And that's a big one. Go from John Harbaugh, that's a big one to open. So, I mean, okay, Steelers fans in the chat, do you think that there is a possibility I could see this being a thought process. And let me know if you think this is reasonable or not. Are the Steelers going to hire Mike McCarthy thinking that they can fire him in 3 seasons? Maybe you have 1 or 2 seasons under Rodgers, develop a rookie, and then they move on? Is that is this just gonna be a short-term kind of bridge coach? Is that what we're looking at here in, you know, Pittsburgh? 'Cause most of these guys have 5-year contracts. And so if he signs a 5-year deal with a possible so that is we do think that's a possibility. Okay. I don't know I don't know that I guess, unless you're just gonna make or break for if that's what you're going for in Pittsburgh, then sure, maybe this makes sense. You know, he's won a Super Bowl before. He's shown it it's a lot to risk, though, I think, in the development of your team. It's a lot to risk in the development of your rookies. And I yeah, this is great. This is kind of my point right here, making a rookie just switch systems, um, whether that's Will Howard, you know, or maybe you bring in a different quarterback. But having that happen, you're investing a lot in your vets right now, which the Steelers have fantastic vets, and they've also got some great rookies. If you were here during our draft, uh, show last year, I really liked a lot of the Steelers rookies. Eric Harmon. Um, I thought Caleb Johnson would be a lot more. I really liked Jack Sawyer. I really wanted the Bengals to get Jack Sawyer. They didn't get Jack Sawyer. He, of course, went to Pittsburgh. But I don't think this is a good move for the Steelers unless you win a Super Bowl. For me, it has to be Super Bowl or bust. I I get he left. I get he didn't get fired. But would you agree that there was definitely outside pressure from the fan base and possibly the team saying that, you know, you can either, you know, resign or you're gonna be fired? I just got a text that the Vikings are pursuing Joe Burrow. That's not gonna happen. But anyway, there's a guy who's usually in here, though, would be happy to hear that. But I just I don't get I don't get this. This does not make sense to me in the slightest. I can't wrap my head around this. Um, this almost feels akin to chasing the, you know, Devontae Adams to the Jets under Aaron Rodgers, and then they brought Nate Hackett in under Aaron Rodgers, and they tried to, like, recreate the Green Bay Packers under Aaron Rodgers in hopes that they would get a Super Bowl. And now Aaron Rodgers may not even want to play this season. We don't know. Aaron Rodgers is an enigma. He's a mystery. You're trying to attract this guy and bring in a at this point, average head coach. Yeah, that's not this is not happening. Let's like, quick truck stop. That's not happening. I don't care who's reporting it. It's not a thing. Anyway, uh, but it seems like they're going to set themselves back multiple years because if you go 3 seasons in, and of course, there's always gonna be new coordinator, up and coming coordinator, but you could have developed this young defense while you still had guys in the room like Cam Hayward, like TJ Watt, these guys, Jalen Ramsey. You could have had a great defensive head coach like Brian Flores working with those vets to develop the young guys. I would be way more afraid of that. There's so much more you can do with a guy who is young and is going to be with the team for a long time and isn't going to be just a make or break situation. Uh, I I I've got a whole 'nother thing on that paranormal. Um, so it seems like 9 wins is still a more important thing than being a well-run organization. Yeah, I mean, what do you say here if you're a Steelers fan? He finished let's go over his last few, records with the Cowboys. So in 2024, they went 7 and 10. That was the season he got fired. 2023, 12 and 5. 2022, 12 and 5. 2021, 12 and 5. And then in 2020, when he started, they went 6 and 10. So we'll give him in 2020, that wasn't his team necessarily. They were rebuilding. But then they get to 12 and 5 and they just stuck there. So is that going to be the new 9 and 8 that we had under Tomlin? Okay, you get 3 more wins. But I know Steelers fans, they don't care about wins. He went 1 and 3 in the playoffs in Dallas. They don't care about regular season victories because ultimately none of us care about regular season victories. Because once you make it to the playoffs, if you don't win in the playoffs, what are we doing this for? What are we even trying to play for? We're playing for Super Bowls, right? And if you make the playoffs and you get eliminated, the only reward you get is a bad draft position. I think this is the $1,000,000 question. And I think if you can answer it, and figure out Aaron Rodgers, you will get $1,000,000 because he is probably, I don't know if he'll go on McAfee on Tuesday or what he's gonna do, but I could see him just kind of, going, no, it's a mystery all year. That's kind of how he is. I don't see him maybe coming. I mean, he's old. He's old, right? And he is, he played well last season, but he's older. He was upset about Mike Tomlin being fired. He wanted this team to win. He still wants to win, but is he capable or not? And the thing that I go back to is if you remember when Matt Ryan played for the Colts, you could really tell his mind understood the game still. He understood it defensively. He understood it analytically. And he understood what he was supposed to do. But his body was not physically capable of letting him do the things he wanted to do anymore. And that could be a point. And Tom Brady was kind of the same way in his last season. I think that we could see that with Aaron Rodgers. And he's going to have to kind of decide, like, okay, yes, I know what I'm doing, but am I physically the best guy that they can put out there? Am I one of the top 32 best guys out there? Because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to want to be a backup. I don't perceive Aaron Rodgers going on the Russell Wilson or Joe Flacco tour. This is true. Championship or pick, number 1 pick. Like what everything else in between is just kind of, whatever, right? I get that. I get that position as well. So I guess here, let's ask this question to the Steelers fans here. This is good too. The draft isn't good either. It's not a good year for quarterbacks, just in general. You'd have to trade for someone if you don't want Rodgers or a rookie or Will Howard, and you want someone decent. So would you rather have Aaron Rodgers this year and maybe, he's slower, maybe he falls off from even what we saw this year with Mike McCarthy, or would you rather have Will Howard with Mike McCarthy and see what Will Howard has. And I'm not high on Will Howard or anything. I'm not saying Will Howard's going to be out there and be the franchise guy, but I do kind of wonder what we can expect from him. I mean, he played at Ohio State. He's played in the national championship. He's won the national championship. He's got, the stuff to be at the big level, but I don't know that that'll translate well to the NFL. But we also may never know. And we don't know what this team is even looking at. I don't know what this team's identity is anymore. I would have told you that McCarthy or that Flores, okay, you hire him, you're going to have a defensive identity head coach, which is exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers are known for. That's they've had Pickett, they've had Rudolph, they've had all these quarterbacks they've run out there, and they've consistently been a defensive-minded team. Now that you hire Mike McCarthy, does that identity change? Are we going to see some, guys get traded, some big names get traded? I know you hate to hear this, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, hypothetically, could we see Mike McCarthy say, hey, I want to change the identity of this team. TJ Watt doesn't really want to be here anymore because we're not winning championships right now. We're going to rebuild from the bottom, and they trade TJ Watt or they trade Cam Hayward. Is that something that we see? That's true. He did get hurt in the preseason, or he missed out on during the season when Will Howard got hurt. But I think this hire, you would want a head coaching hire to maybe answer questions. I don't think it answers questions. I think it creates more questions than what it actually, gives us as a team. So I think it's a cute story. I'd rather have Andy Dalton in 2026 if it meant a younger coach was installing a fresh system and preparing. I felt kind of bad for Dalton. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Adam Pac-Man Jones, who was fantastic for the Bengals for years, went on a podcast and he just dug into Andy Dalton and he does not like Andy Dalton. I felt bad. I liked Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton was kind of that just perfectly average quarterback. There's a joke about the Dalton line where if you're worse than Andy Dalton, then you're a bad quarterback. If you're above Andy Dalton, you're an elite quarterback, and Andy Dalton's just that toe. And now it's kind of become the Taylor line because all the guys below Zach Taylor got fired, and even some of the guys above Zach Taylor got fired, like Sean McDermott. But, it's kind of that, which is better. But I do think having a vet in 2026, if you are instilling a new offense with a young coach and you're building up these young guys, makes sense. Joe Flacco, he said he's open to it. I kind of hope he stays in Cincy as the backup. But, we have a new Chus is texting me Joe Burrow updates. He said a source close to the Vikings told Grant Kahn that the team is preparing to offer J.J. McCarthy, Jonathan Greenard, and multiple first-round picks to the Bengals this offseason for superstar quarterback Joe Burrow. No. I don't think it's going to happen. It's fake. But Joe Flacco to the Pittsburgh Steelers would be it makes sense. He finished the tour. Andy Dalton helped mentor Bryce Young. Yeah. And there are it's not happening. We are not trading Joe Burrow to the Minnesota Vikings. There is a guy, his name is Chris, who is always in these comments saying, he's a Vikings fan, saying that the Vikings are going to trade Joe Burrow, or the Bengals are going to trade Joe Burrow to the Vikings. And I tell him, I'm surprised he's not here, but he says it every single video. There are videos that have nothing to do with the Vikings or the Bengals that he'll commented under. It's not happening. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Andy Dalton would be great. What's Andy Dalton's contract look like? Does anyone know here? I can pull it up real quick. I haven't looked at Andy Dalton's contract in a few. Is he a free agent? I think he is, actually. Oh, no, he's not. He's got one more year under his contract. He's got a $5.848 million cap hit. Would you be willing to trade for Andy Dalton? this is I've got entire things on Joe Burrow and retirement and all that jazz. I've talked about it in full episodes before. I can't remember exactly what episode, but I've gone on rants, and I'll probably go on rants more because the media hates the Bengals. I could name specific people, but I won't. And I'm sure that there are guys who you feel like hate the Steelers as well. It's the way the league is now. They give up on guys so quickly. And that's why I'm like, why, if you're going to do this, why not see what Will Howard has? Why'd you draft him they drafted him and then signed Mason Rudolph? Like they immediately put him at QB3. I want to see what these guys have, what these young guys can do. See you, Paranormal. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for that sub. You would take Andy Dalton as a bridge quarterback. Yeah, I think he's a good guy, good locker room guy, good mentor. Yeah, I stay safe with the storm, of course, but yeah, I don't think you'd have to give up much for Andy Dalton. Fellow, like, would you be willing to give up a 7th round pick? Because I think you could get away with that. I don't think it would have to be. Mac Jones would be, yeah. Mac Jones was given up on pretty early too. And there's a video on this that I've watched before. I want to shout the guy out because it's a fantastic video. Here, let me find it so that I make sure I get his name right. But he basically lays out why this is happening and how it's like money driven. Why, there's like 4 things he lays out. And is it Brett Coleman? Brett Coleman's another fantastic. It's not Brett Coleman's isn't the one I'm thinking of, but Brett Coleman's another fantastic guy. Dang, I can't find this video. It's a fantastic video. Brett Coleman's I'm sure is good as well, but it's not the one I'm thinking of. But this guy basically says, like, it's because of the way the CBA is written. It's not as expensive to give up on your quarterbacks as it was like back when Jamarcus Russell was the guy. There's more pressure from coaches for coaches to get their guys right immediately. So like if you bring in a new coach and then say hypothetically, the Steelers bring in Mike McCarthy and Mike McCarthy really wants Ty Simpson. Okay. So they draft Ty Simpson in the 2nd round. There's pressure for Mike McCarthy to get the Steelers to the playoffs under Ty Simpson in like 3 years. These guys don't have time to develop. And a lot of these guys don't reach their prime until they've already been forgotten about. A lot of these younger guys. And this is why I said Dante Moore should not enter the draft, because teams have to pick up the 5th-year option at the end of the player's 3rd season. Dante Moore is 20 years old right now. He would be I think he turns 21 a month after the draft. So he wouldn't even be 25 before teams were trying to pick up his 5th-year option or decide to move on from him. And we might see that. We have seen that happen multiple times. We've seen it happen with Sam Darnold. You've seen it happen with possibly Mac Jones here. You see it with these young guys who don't even reach their prime before they've just been written off as outcasts. J.J. McCarthy's another very young quarterback. And I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy's going to hit 25 and, just sail off, but we've already written him off as this turnover prone, like confused, lost quarterback. And this year was basically his rookie year. Go back and look at, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, Peyton Manning, big name there. Peyton Manning was terrible his rookie year. All 3 of those guys were terrible their rookie year. And they're all Hall of Famers. They're all Hall of Famers. And Will Howard could be in that situation as well. Maybe not. There's probably like for every one quarterback that matches this description, every Sam Darnold, there's another 100, failures, right? But I don't see the Steelers currently as a team that can, make a Steelers run with an older or a Super Bowl run with an older quarterback, with an older head coach. I see them more as a team that has a lot of foundational pieces, but a lot of those major pieces that they need are getting ready to retire. They're getting ready to leave. TJ Watt, he's getting older. Cam Hayward's getting older. Jalen Ramsey's getting older. They continue. You can't build a roster and only let those starters be the like main things. Yes, they're great to have, but eventually you're going to have to admit to yourself, hey, TJ Watt, you've been great. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer, but you're also 31 years old. Do Steelers fans feel like that they can win a Super Bowl this season? Is that where they feel like they're at? Even if Aaron Rodgers comes back. Yeah, so everyone can see this. Between the portal and early declarations, overall development in the league is a very weird place. A lot of guys aren't coming out nearly as league ready from a technique and processing perspective. Exactly. And I think Dante Moore was in a weird position because he was a guaranteed top 5 pick. Guaranteed. Jets are probably taking him second overall. But then he flunks out. And you go to New York, that's even worse. That's a ton of pressure. And they're going to start you day one. So there's no sitting on the bench, getting developed or anything like that. I think it was smart for him to wait. And I don't think it's because he hated the Jets or anything like narratives that people try to create. I think if it had been, the Pittsburgh Steelers or or the Packers or a well-respected franchise, it would have been wise for him to wait because he would not have done well with the pressure, I think, because he's young, he's not developed, he hasn't had time to develop, he hasn't really shown up well on the big stage yet. We've seen that a few times now. I don't think that Dante Moore should go in. And I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that go in before they either have to or are ready. And that's the risk you take. Like another example of the other side of the coin is Drew Aller. Drew Aller went in, he was supposed to go in. He decided not to, even though he was a top pick. He wasn't quite ready. He was like, we're going to run for a national championship. Then he gets hurt. Now his draft stock is tanked. So he's lost quite a bit of money on that first contract. So it's a gamble. It's a gamble like most things in life. And this was the response to, can the Steelers win the Super Bowl this season if Aaron Rodgers returns? That's kind of my thoughts as well. So I'm sorry. I started laughing so hard when I saw this move. I'm not gonna lie. A part of me feels sorry for Steelers fans, but also not really. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens in Pittsburgh. But we're running on 30 minutes here of me just talking. There's not really much more to say in my opinion. I just don't think that this is a good long-term move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Other people are free to have other opinions. And you know what? That is what the comment section is for. So if you want to head on down to the comment section, we'll get this right before my little spiel. We'll let Bello get another thought in. Honestly, I feel a little sorry for Mike McCarthy. If he isn't perfect, this fan base is going to be absolutely horrendous to a hometown. Exactly. And I don't know what the Steelers told him either, or what he told the Steelers. Did he say, hey, within 2 years, I will bring a Super Bowl to Pittsburgh? Maybe. Did he say, hey, I can bring back Aaron Rodgers? Maybe. Or did the Steelers say, hey, we're going to give you time to rebuild? I doubt it. I doubt they said that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But everyone's got opinions. I want to hear yours. You've heard mine. So head on down to the comments section where you can let those things be known. As always, be respectful to others in the comment section and like this video and subscribe to make sure you get all the NFL news. Until next time, go do something nice for someone.